Good morning. Welcome to this fourth webinar in a monthly series focused on the pre-kindergarten high-quality components that are presented by the Texas Education Agency. My name is Tamala Olsby, and I would just like to welcome you. Today, we are glad that you've chosen to join us this morning. Today, we are going to cover the following topics: the importance of the foundational years. We will review the high-quality component of teacher qualifications. We will spend most of our time talking about mentoring and coaching, and we will also discuss some available resources to support your high-quality efforts. While we're going through the webinar today, we anticipate that you might come up with some questions. So at the end of the webinar, we will give you information on how to submit your questions. The questions you submit will be used to create a frequently asked questions document. Let's begin by discussing the foundational years. Children that participate in a high-quality pre-kindergarten program are more likely to be kindergarten ready. And when a student is kindergarten ready, they are much more likely to master, not just pass, reading and math in third grade. These foundational years, pre-kindergarten through third grade, are instrumental in helping students graduate from high school and being college or career ready. By the age of 4, a child from a low-income family will hear 30 million fewer words than a child from a non-low-income family. This creates a literacy, language, and communication deficit that starts long before a child ever reaches the classroom. We know that economically disadvantaged children have a much bigger challenge of meeting that ever so important third grade reading benchmark. So what percentage of children in Texas are low income? 6 out of 10. That means that most of our children do not have access to books, to educational toys and games. They may not have access to adequate housing or nutrition or health services. For all of these reasons, they often enter school at a disadvantage. We also know that vocabulary development during the preschool years is related to later reading skills and school success in general. Research also tells us that 75% of students who are poor readers in third grade will remain poor readers in high school. Once a student is behind, it is very difficult to ever catch up. Pre-kindergarten is usually the child's first encounter with our formal education system, and a high-quality pre-kindergarten experience has the capacity to affect a child's success over the next 12 years of their life. It is no wonder why pre-kindergarten has become a focus in Texas. Children who participate in a high-quality pre-kindergarten have an 85% increase in print awareness, a 19% decreased need for special education services. They are 24% less likely to be convicted of juvenile crime. They are 20% more likely to graduate on time from high school. They are 19% more likely to attend college, and they earn $150,000 more over their adulthood. Research has documented the impact that a high-quality pre-kindergarten experience can have on a young child, especially if that child is economically disadvantaged or is an English language learner. Here is a list of the high-quality components that have been the focus of Texas's efforts in increasing quality in our pre-kindergarten programs across the state. This list should not be considered all-inclusive. The high-quality components include curriculum, student progress monitoring, teacher qualifications and professional development, teacher-to-child ratio, family engagement, program evaluation, and data reporting. Today's focus is on professional development, specifically on mentoring coaching. You may recall from our last webinar on teacher qualification that most pre-kindergarten teachers in Texas have a bachelor's degree in either elementary education or interdisciplinary studies. These two degrees have little, if any, coursework that is specific to early childhood education. So our pre-kindergarten teachers are mostly certified to teach EC through 6 or early childhood through 6th grade. This represents a very large age span. With early childhood specific professional development that includes mentoring and coaching, the great work that our pre-kindergarten teachers are doing can be enhanced even more. So what does research say about professional development? Well, professional development yields 3 levels of results. Educators learn new knowledge and skills because of their participation. Educators use what they learn to improve their teaching and leadership. And student learning and achievement increase because educators use what they learn in professional development. This slide shows some data from the University of Kansas. Researchers found that when teachers participated in traditional professional development that had no follow-up, 10% of them implemented a newly learned instructional method. But if that teacher's professional development was followed up with services from a mentor or coach, the number rose to 85%. Let's look at this research from Joyce and Showers. They looked at various outcomes of professional development. Did it make a difference in the teacher's knowledge level? Did it make a difference in their skill level? And was it transferred into the classroom? Now, from the left, you will see the results if the professional development was focused on studying theory. You can see that studying theory made a 10% increase in the teacher's knowledge level, a 5% increase in the teacher's skill level, and there was no transfer into the classroom. The researchers also looked at using demonstration or modeling or practice as part of the professional development. In each of these areas, though, the probability of the teacher transferring that knowledge, that professional development into the classroom was slim. But look at coaching. It is shown here in green. If the professional development involved coaching, the outcome was an increase of 95% in the teacher's knowledge, a 95% increase in their skill level, and 95% of the teachers transferred what they learned in the professional development into the classroom. Wow, what a difference. We are going to hear now from a school district who reaped the benefits of mentoring and coaching while under the high quality pre-kindergarten grant. We're going to hear from Mary Conrad, the Early Childhood Education Coordinator for Waco ISD. I am finding you, Mary, right here so I can unmute you. Hang on just a minute here. Thank you, Mary, for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you. Well, Waco ISD has approximately 55 pre-K classrooms with about 900 children. We hover around there. When funding was available for hiring a pre-K coach, this is what her time looked like while working with teachers. Professional development consisted of a combination of in-service days and after-school sessions. Courses from CLI Engage were used. The coach and teacher leaders of our pre-K classrooms facilitated these courses. Data analysis involved looking at our CLI Engage progress monitoring data, along with our own district letter knowledge data and our iStation literacy data for pre-K. Co-teaching was planned in advance by the teacher and the coach. Side-by-side coaching was active participation by the coach. She was able to support the teacher throughout the lesson. And of course, this was after a relationship was formed between the teacher and the coach. The coach was familiar with her lesson before going into the classroom after reviewing the lesson plan, so she was prepared. Modeling lessons primarily involve the use of our developing talkers kits that each of our classrooms use. We believe all of our children are English language learners based on our vocabulary data. Instructional planning most often involved use of data to plan small groups that are flexible. We highly encourage the use of our online circle activities for our small group lesson planning. PLC time was most often used when all of the pre-K team on that campus could benefit from the same learning. We found it was also a good time for the campus administration to be kept in our pre-K loop. And next we'll look at our iStation literacy data. Can you advance the slide, Tamala? There we go, thank you. The light blue line represents the pre-K iStation literacy data for the year before we had a pre-K coach, 2015 and 16. The darker blue line represents the year we had a pre-K coach in place, 2016-17. The cohort of children entered with a lower score in September of 16 than in September of 2015. But by the end of the year, with a coach, the cohort of children with the lower beginning literacy data exited pre-K with a higher literacy score than the previous year with no coach. So our teachers give overall positive feedback to coaching, whether they're new to the pre-K classroom or after years of experience. This teacher says, "It is very important to me to keep going to the trainings because I was able to refresh my teaching strategies and learn something new to me. Having someone to ask about anything in the classroom, teaching strategies, room environment, classroom materials, with the experience or resources and how to use them is fantastic. It feels safe when you have someone to tell you how to use the new technology resources and how to apply them in the classroom. It's nice to talk with other teachers and share ideas." So this particular teacher had completed the Texas School Ready Professional Development and Mentoring under a previous grant, but he still values this continuous learning. So last year it was very helpful to us to have a pre-K coach who had just left a very successful pre-K classroom experience herself. She was already familiar with the tools available on CLI Engage, like the Circle Online Activity Collection, the Classroom Observation Tool, and the Classroom Environmental Checklist. We continue to use these tools this year, but it is definitely harder without one person dedicated to pre-K. So this year, our professional development coaching model for this year includes campus instructional coaches and district reading coaches. They're not as familiar with our pre-K model and the courses, so we have some of them who are flipping the coaching model. Last year, we learned at the TSR coaching workshop that videos from CLI Engage can be sent to teachers in advance. So the campus or district specialist collaborates with the teacher on what he or she would like to improve on. They then send a video link to the teacher. They agree on a time for the coach to visit the classroom to support this particular lesson in action. This is one way we're making the most of our available resources that we already have in place. So we look forward to following the results for this current year. We anticipate the lasting effects of previous coaching on those teachers who are still in our pre-K classrooms this year.
Thank you, Mary. What great information. It's always nice to hear from somebody in the field, and obviously Mary has a lot of expertise, and we want to thank you, Mary, for your willingness to share your district's experience with mentoring and coaching. We appreciate it. We're going to turn our attention now to the expectations of Rider 78 in regards to teacher qualification. Please be reminded that all pre-kindergarten teachers serving eligible 4-year-olds that generate FSP funding are expected to be certified to teach pre-kindergarten and to have an additional qualification. This chart has been developed to visually show the 7 options in meeting the expectations of the rider in regards to teacher qualification. It is expected that each pre-kindergarten teacher in your district or charter will meet one of the 7 options. Please note that each option includes having the appropriate certification to teach pre-kindergarten along with an additional qualification. These additional qualifications are all focused specifically on early childhood education. Please also note that two of the options, option 6 and option 7, specifically mention mentoring and coaching in the additional qualification. Another important consideration to ponder when districts and charters are developing their professional development activities for their teaching staff is that all teachers need 150 hours of professional development over a 5-year period to maintain their teaching certification in Texas. That might be why many school districts are choosing just to focus on option 7. Option 7 states that teachers are certified to teach early childhood and are completing 30 hours of ECE-specific professional development annually, with 15 of the 30 hours being in a mentoring coaching relationship until all the 150 hours are documented. Professional development designed for pre-kindergarten teachers should focus on an ECE-specific topic. The Commissioner's Rule gives 4 recommendations of ECE-specific topics to focus on. These include the revised 2015 Texas Pre-Kindergarten Guidelines, the use of student progress monitoring results to inform classroom instruction, improving the pre-kindergarten classroom environment to enhance student outcomes, and improving the effectiveness of teacher interactions with students as determined by an evaluation tool. Please note, these are recommendations. Districts and charters should use their applicable data to determine the ECE-specific professional development needs of their pre-kindergarten staff. So what are the core elements of mentoring and coaching? A one-to-one relationship between a mentor-coach and the protege. When the word protege is used in this webinar, it might be used interchangeably for the word teacher. On-the-job support that focuses on the development of specific early childhood education knowledge, skills, or practices that can be used in daily work with children. And lastly, a shared commitment to continuous improvement to ensure positive outcomes for all children. So from these core elements, we can see that effective mentoring and coaching is relationship-based between someone who is considered an expert and someone who is learning. It is most effective when the focus isn't on a global, huge early childhood topic, but on a specific skill or teaching practice that teachers can immediately implement in their classroom. And effective mentoring and coaching also has the sense of being ongoing. It is not a one-time event. Who can serve in the role of a mentor coach? The following personnel could fit in that role: an early childhood expert, early childhood staff from an education service center, Some districts and charters hire instructional coaches to serve in this role, and they usually work with several grade levels. A supervisor can serve as a mentor coach if the supervisor's mentoring coaching responsibilities are kept separate from their supervisory role. A principal or another person in leadership that has an early childhood background within a district could be a mentor or coach. A coach from an early childhood specific agency, or a peer teacher who is considered an expert in either early childhood education or in a specific early childhood skill or practice. If a pre-kindergarten teacher is serving as the mentor to another pre-kindergarten teacher, the mentor teacher can count 5 of the hours she is coaching as professional development. We refer to that as the 30% rule. So as you can see, there are numerous options in finding a mentor or a coach to help support the pre-kindergarten teachers. Mentors and coaches have certain characteristics that make them effective in their work. It is important for districts and charters to look for mentoring and coaching personnel who are confident and they know a lot about early childhood education, who are considered leaders. An effective mentor or coach is a people person, someone who can easily connect with others, someone who is a good observer, and someone who believes that people's actions can change, that people can improve. This slide contains what TEA is calling the basics about mentoring and coaching, and we are going over each of these now in a little more detail. This is a graphic description of the mentoring coaching cycle. There are 3 parts to the cycle. It includes the coach making observation of the protege's teaching practices and offering feedback. Together, the mentor coach and the protege collaboratively reflect and write a goal. An action plan is created and implemented to improve the identified need. And then the cycle repeats itself. So this ongoing cycle has the following key elements: observation with feedback, collaborative reflection, action that is focused on the implementation of a specific skill or teaching behavior. And then finally, the cycle is repeated. Mentoring and coaching can be implemented in various ways. It can be delivered by having face-to-face interactions between the mentor coach and the protege. It could be delivered in a professional learning community or a PLC. The difference in a PLC would be that the mentor coach is working usually with more than one teacher on the same teaching practice. Mentoring and coaching could also be delivered through technology. When practicing a new skill, the teacher could videotape themselves. The mentor coach could then watch the videotape and give feedback. It is also possible that all of these delivery models could be combined. It is important to remember that no matter how districts and charter schools deliver mentoring and coaching, all aspects of the mentoring coaching cycle described in the previous slide should be present. Observation with feedback, collaborative reflection, and action that is focused on the implementation of a skill or teaching behavior. And then the cycle repeats itself. Mentoring coaching should always be outcomes focused. And remember our goal, kindergarten ready students. Mentoring coaching is most effective when it is focused on a specific early childhood skill or practice, such as maybe increasing the use of open-ended questions with students. It is also helpful when the skill or practice is measurable. That makes it easy to document a teacher's progress. The Texas Education Agency recommends the use of a research-based tool as part of the mentoring coaching delivery system. For example, let's say a teacher is needing assistance in improving their classroom environment. It would be helpful to use the Children's Learning Institute's Classroom Observation Tool, or COT as it is commonly referred to assess the effectiveness of the classroom. As the teacher is mentored and coached in this example, her score on the COT instrument should show progress. Of course, in all instances where a research-based tool is used as part of the mentoring coaching process, teachers should be familiar with the tool prior to its use. When contemplating what specific skills or teaching practices should mentoring and coaching focus on, it is good to consider the following. What needs of the teachers have been identified? What did the results from using a research-based tool tell you about the needs of the teacher? Has child outcome data shown an area in which the teachers could use additional assistance? Will a research-based positive child outcome be a result of the focus of mentoring and coaching? And remember, a new teacher will have different needs than a veteran teacher. Be sure that the mentoring coaching offered to both new and veteran teachers are meeting their unique needs. A mentoring coaching relationship is built on respect and trust. A mentor coach's main responsibility is to support the teacher, to support the teacher's needs, to support the teacher's reflections of a current practice, and to support the teacher's implementation of a plan of action. It is best if teachers are given feedback immediately or in the moment. And coaching is most effective if teachers are eager to be coached and to receive assistance from someone who is considered an expert. Reluctant teachers may need a reminder that mentoring coaching is different than supervision and teacher evaluation. Mentoring coaching's focus is on continuous improvement in current teaching practices. Mentoring and coaching should not be considered a single event. It is an ongoing process. The intensity and the duration of the mentoring coaching should match how difficult the skill or teaching practice is to master. It is important to document the professional development that each pre-kindergarten teacher receives, as well as the mentoring coaching they are participating in. The documentation should include the name of the mentor coach, the name of the staff member, the topic of the mentoring and coaching. Of course, it should be an ECE specific topic, and the time spent in mentoring and coaching. Districts and charters can use this documentation for future planning, and the documentation could also assist the teacher in renewing their teaching certification. Please be reminded that this list of pre-kindergarten data will be uploaded into PEAMS or ECDS on an annual basis. Each pre-kindergarten teacher's qualification, including their unique teacher certification ID and their additional qualification they meet, is expected to be uploaded annually into PEAMS. Texas has many resources to support mentoring and coaching. Let's review some of these. There are education service centers in all 20 regions of our state, and many of them have early childhood specialists employed within them. They provide professional development in an array of early childhood specific topics and technical assistance. Many of them support mentoring and coaching. Many of you are familiar with the Children's Learning Institute's vast online support for teachers, administrators, and parents. They are also a great resource for information and resources for coaching. They conduct workshops and provide online courses to train coaches. Several of their tools have a coaching component aligned within the tool, making it easy for a district or charter to use a research-based tool within the mentoring coaching process. Additional resources are listed on this slide that are specific to mentoring and coaching. And all of these resources are very, very helpful. I want to emphasize the first one, entitled Partners in Action, a Mentoring Toolkit for Early Childhood Providers. This resource was created by the Texas Early Learning Council, and it can be downloaded using that provided link. It could be used as a workbook for a district or a charter that is new to using mentoring and coaching as a professional development activity. We have covered a lot today, but let's be reminded that the greatest asset education has is that classroom teacher. That is why it is imperative that teachers receive meaningful professional development that supports effective teaching practices leading to positive child outcomes. And as we have seen today, that meaningful professional development should include mentoring and coaching. TEA would encourage districts and charters to consider the following when designing their professional development activities that include mentoring and coaching. What resources do you have? Who could serve in the role of mentor coach? What early childhood education specific skill or teaching behavior should the mentoring and coaching focus on? What delivery model could be used? Is there a research-based tool that could be used in conjunction with the mentoring and coaching? And how could you effectively document the mentoring and coaching so that it can be used for planning? If you have questions regarding professional development, specifically mentoring or coaching, or anything that was covered in this webinar, please send them to the email address on this slide, earlychildhoodeducation@tea.texas.gov. A frequently asked questions document addressing all of the questions that are received by December 8th will be posted on TEA's website by the end of December. And of course, if your question cannot wait for a frequently asked questions document, please do not hesitate to contact the Early Childhood Education Division of TEA. We are here to help. Again, my name is Tamala Olsby, and my contact information is included on this slide. We sincerely hope that this webinar has been informative and helpful in your effort to increase the quality of your pre-kindergarten program. A short survey will be sent to each webinar participant in approximately 1 hour. We would ask for your cooperation in completing the survey. The results of the survey will assist us in improving our efforts in supporting you. And lastly, please watch for an announcement regarding our next webinar in January. It will be focused on writing a family engagement plan. Information will be forthcoming. Thank you for joining us today, and have a great day.